Right, so you click there and then click live chat.
Oh, now we're live.
Oh, yay!
I mean, hopefully it works
Hopefully,
now.
yeah. I mean...
I don't know why that's scheduled, that last one. Hello, everyone. We have had the... Jesus. Diego. He says hello. Wow. Oh my goodness. The comments are coming through. Oh my god.
Wow, that is a lot of people.
This is too much. Look at Diego. He's not even phased. Okay, so basically we oh my goodness. There's so many comments. Okay, when you go on you now, you can actually read the comments, but this is crazy. So usually I go on you now. Oh my god, there's a lot. Usually I go on you now and I can read the comments, but today I thought I'd go on YouTube to live stream, and it is the most frustrating thing trying to set it up because you can't see your webcam. I can't even read all these comments.
Click the little filter button.
Where?
So click that one and then go...
Top chat. Let's see, what's top chat?
I think that's probably better, maybe?
Okay, maybe that's a little bit better.
Hello!
Okay. So we have Diego here. There were so many comments.
Just flying up.
Okay, so we've changed it to top chat. So hopefully that...
Hopefully we're seeing everyone.
Okay. Oh, wow. Let's see. I've seen... How old is Diego? Diego's 7. He'll be 8 in April. So, you know.
That's crazy.
Who are you with? This is my boyfriend.
Hi. Sorry,
you
hi.
may have noticed his arms in my recent video. Can you show them? Okay, just to say, I didn't know if it gave it away, but I did worry that people might think I was the one drilling and I suddenly had very hairy arms and a beard.
Mm.
So I wasn't sure.
It's been grown out.
Yeah. Right, let me see.
I just can't believe the number of people.
No wonder they have like super chat on here and everything.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
Then you can like see a message. Right, let's see. Do you have a pet turtle? No, you used to have pet
Toast
turtle.
Warrior, you fail. I noticed you.
You used to have turtles.
I did used to have turtles.
Oh my goodness. Diego. See, when we had Lyra on you now, she just sat in front of the camera, but I feel this isn't going to happen with Diego.
Yeah. Diego's...
I need to like... He didn't drop, I just like...
He's not as well trained as Lyra is just to sit there.
Okay. Let's see.
How about I pick stuff?
Oh god. There's so much. Okay. Let's have like a question or something that I can read because these are going really, really quick.
There must be some way to slow it down shortly.
No, I think that they have like... There's a thing called super chat where I think you can put a message and it just stays up for a bit so I can actually read it. But...
Is that your boyfriend? No offense. Yes.
Yes. I'm offended. There's just a man next to me. Oh goodness, we have a super chat. Wait, why does the super chats go? I want to read them.
Click up there. Click on that bit.
Yeah, but there was one before that. Wait a minute.
Could I use Eco Earth with a 3-month-old Leo? He was feeding...
Why? I thought super chats stay up. I want to read that super chat. Okay. Could you use Eco for a 3-month-old Leo? He has a feeding spot on a hide. Yeah, that should be fine. Like, Gizmo and Minnie, their breeder actually had them on Eco Earth since they were like a few weeks old. And all of mine went on Eco Earth when they were about 3 months old anyway, so it should be totally fine. There was someone else, but for some reason their question didn't stay up. I wonder if it's on here. No, I don't know what. This is crazy. I usually go on you now and it's a little bit slower, but this is... Wait, here it goes. Oh, the Reptile King said I'm the king, just so you know. Okay. Let me see.
Yeah, someone asked, how is Lyra?
How is Lyra? She's doing good. Oh, I just realised my whole entire arm was in front of that. Yeah, she is active as ever. I feel like Lyra and Drogo interact with us the most, don't they?
Yeah, especially recently.
Like Drogo's watching us right now.
He's literally staring at us.
Okay, let's see. What is he okay? He's chill. I feel like he's kind of chill now. He's curious, so he just walks a lot. Ants. Someone said. Now, this is the thing. Can you stop clicking that?
Sorry.
So the ants have actually had updates in a Christmas video where I did a room tour because I showed where the ants are hibernating, gave you a brief update. And in my video about my feeder and pet inverts, the ants are in there. So some people think they haven't been updated, but they are actually featured in a couple videos. I just didn't want to do an individual video because they are just hibernating, so there's not much to update on. So if you go back and watch the Christmas room tour and my pet and feeder inverts, then you should be able to see them. What are you doing, Diego?
Brooke is watching this live stream while cleaning her Leo cages.
Oh. Are you two dating? Yeah, we how long have we been dating for? Oh, this is a good question.
Trick question? No, a while.
Oh wow. Such a typical boyfriend thing. I don't know how long. A while. No, actually I don't know how long. Over a year.
Like since
oh my god, like a year and 4 months.
Yeah, something
nearly.
like that. It's like October 2017, something like that.
Oh god, yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's a while.
I mean, we've known each other since we were 16 and 18.
Yeah.
So we've known each other a while.
A long time. Please YouTube your day-to-day job.
Wouldn't you like to know? Let's see. So many emojis. Does Diego prefer crickets or dubias? I tried dubias a couple years back, and they just didn't really even react to them. And I found when you have loose substrate, they bury themselves really quickly, and it's such a pain. My geckos don't eat out of like feeding bowls, so he prefers crickets. But I do wonder if I should try them again. They're just quite expensive, and mine never bred, and they smell funny. Let me see. How long do Leos live? They can live for 20 years or more. We actually saw a chameleon today. Is a panther chameleon.
Which one?
Well, so there was a panther chameleon, and he was on the floor of his tank, and he was a little bit dopey. And at one point, he was trying to walk, but he'd grabbed hold of his own foot. And then the guy said that he was 8 years old, and a panther chameleon, a male, tends to live maybe 5 to 7 years. Oh my goodness. And yeah, so he was 8, so he is, he's a very old chap. Let's see. Have you ever had any issues with your geckos being overly picky regarding feeders? Currently, dubias and even crickets are totally ignored over mealworms and all things wiggly. Yes, funnily enough, I do know with that little arm. I do notice they will go through different phases. For absolutely months, Ziggy only wanted mealworms or morio worms or waxworms, wouldn't have crickets, and literally one day she did. And I don't know if it's because I gave my crickets tomatoes, and I don't usually, because I've heard they can be kind of acidic. This time I did, and she went crazy for them. So sometimes if they're off their food, a certain food, I might switch up what I'm feeding the food. But also I think it's just naturally like a seasonal thing. If you think about it, in the wild, different food would be available to them, so maybe they do get a little bit picky now and again. So that's my theory on it, but I do think it's totally normal. They just, yeah. What do you do with your Leos when you go out of town? I haven't been away for even a weekend in like 7 years. So 8 years. Oh my God, wait. No, I think it's 7 years. And the last time I went away, I was away, for the weekend in England, and that was just me and my sister. So my parents were at home. I didn't have a crested gecko at that point, so all my leopard geckos were just fine for the weekend. I don't have much experience with leaving them very much. So, yeah. Let's see. Athena, thank you. What are Leos? They are leopard geckos. Do you think my top looks like a jockey's top?
A little bit, yeah.
When I got this, I always thought it looks a bit like a jockey.
Diego's face.
It's just like, what's going on? I wonder if there was like, is there some worm emojis that it might entice him to the to the chat? Do you remember when on once Lyra like attacked
she just
the
went
screen,
crazy for these
all
little
the comments
emojis.
were coming through and she just went for it. Should I get a ceramic heater for my Christy? Will she be more active and want to eat more? I definitely feel like when I use a deep heat projector, right? But if you couldn't get that, or you don't have that, or you don't want it, I would say a ceramic heat emitter might be better than a heat mat, just because it heats. I feel like it heats more area. Wow, all these insects coming through.
I wonder what the other chat's like.
And yeah, I think you'll see higher activity levels and maybe more appetite, especially if it's quite cold in your room. So yeah, Lyra is like crazy active when she has a deep heat projector. Now, Diego, what do you think of all these emojis? Let's see. It's so hard watching him in the camera and trying to maneuver him. Is it okay to have a heat lamp and a heat rock? I couldn't see the rest of that because it just went. With the heated rocks, when I first got a leopard gecko, I was warned away from heat rocks straight away. Like everyone's always said, they're really dangerous. It might be because you can't control exactly the temperature of them. I'm not 100% sure, but most places say they are bad. So, Michael, how do you tell the age of a leopard gecko? I adopted 2 leopard geckos last year, but they were a bit sketchy on their age. It can be tricky. Like, if they're young, if they're under a year, you can sometimes tell by their weight, by their pattern development. So especially if they have black bands on them, if they're like solid bands, they're usually quite young, and then those will break out into spots. But I feel like once they pass that year age, it is kind of hard to tell. So, but yeah, if you weigh them, you can kind of get an idea. But then again, males can get bigger quicker, and I don't know. It's a tricky one. How is Ziggy? Ziggy is actually doing really well. Oh, she's disappeared. Oh, do you know, I set a time lapse on her because she's using this deep heat projector, and she's actually disappeared. So my time lapse is probably just blank.
Time lapse,
but she is doing well. I know some people are concerned, but I put a lot of thought into this like heating system and everything. So don't worry, I'm not going to just like
buried in books for weeks.
Yeah, I'm not just going to like pop something in there just on a whim. How's the guinea pigs? They're doing well. What?
Guinea pigs.
Yeah. Fergal and Dougal. Let's see. So what was the reason for having the thermostat probe 1 inch away from the deep heat projector? So it's something about basically the probes. Oh, I have another question from Athena. Can we remember these? Okay, I have like a few minutes. I will definitely see that. But with the probe situation, because the probe's black, it absorbs heat more. So the temperature the probe reads is probably hotter than it actually is. I don't know if this is making sense, but it would shut off your heater quicker than it needs to be. So that's why they say to put it 1 inch on the outside, so it gives time for the actual thing to heat up. I don't know if I'm making sense. Maybe I'll try to make more sense when I do the video. So Athena, I don't think my baby Christy is eating. Should I take it out and feed it, or should I move it into a smaller tank? Currently in 2 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot. That sounds about right for wait, 2 foot to 24 inches, isn't it?
Yeah.
That might be a bit tall if it is a baby, but what I would say is
it not 2 foot long by 1 foot by 1 foot?
Oh, I'm not sure. It might be actually okay if it's like that. But what I would say is, yeah, get your baby out. Like, I usually use a bamboo skewer, but the blunt side, obviously. Get a little bit of food, maybe on a spoon if you like, and let it lick it, and then at least you know it's definitely eaten. But the other thing is their tongue's so tiny that they could technically be eaten a lot, but it just doesn't look it. I felt like this near the start of having Drogo, like I felt like I have to keep like hand feeding him. Why isn't he just eating on his own? But eventually, like, as long as they can access their dish, they are going to eat. So hopefully that answers your question. If it is 2 foot tall, then it might be a little bit too big for a baby, but if it's 2 foot long and 1 foot high, it might be fine. Let's see. Diego's kind of chilled now.
He's chilled.
Anyone else got their gecko out? I feel like we have our live stream, but the geckos like subconsciously have their own. Like Diego's actually talking to them right now through just the power of stare. What was that guy who like H3H3 did a video on him, and he just stares at people or something, and they like everyone goes to see him, and he has like a healing like gaze.
That sounds like
it is kind of rubbish, but I feel like Diego has it right now. Let's see.
Would you have a gargoyle?
Yes, they're cool. Although we saw, like, I assume was an adult one today because it was big.
It was big, yeah.
We did go to a reptile shop today, so yeah. Would you get a tokay gecko? No. I think I just like friendlier geckos, and yeah.
Was that the one that screeches?
I don't know if they necessarily screech. They open their mouth quite wide and they can be aggressive. But then again, I do want a lychee and they can be a bit grumpy. So, yeah. Do you ever get crocodile skinks? The thing is, I don't feel like crocodile skinks like to be handled. And with me, I like to handle my pets. I think the only kind of reptile and amphibian I would get that I couldn't handle is probably like dart frogs. If you had like a really cool dart frog tank, because obviously it's not great to hold frogs. Let's see.
Hey,
Would you like to own a Lichianus gecko? Yes. Oh, eventually, maybe. Like, I want one as a baby, so hopefully I can tame it over time and it wouldn't be too grumpy. Let's see.
They do fly up so quick.
What's that?
The comments.
Yeah, it's really hard to see.
Well, there you go.
How do I get my gecko to be more active? That's from Autumn. It depends. Like, this time of the year, they're going to be a little more inactive because some of them will be in like partial brumation. You should see as we approach spring and summer, they'll be a bit more active. At the moment, like, Gizmo just stays in her cave so much. I have seen a behavioral difference with Ziggy since I'm putting that deep heat projector, and I'll explain why when I do the video, because it provides more than a heat mat or a ceramic heat emitter. But yeah, at the moment, they're kind of inactive. When will another Discord server be up? Now, we are kind of in the works. It's kind of up. It's only available to my patrons at the moment, only because we're trying to sort everything out and make sure it doesn't get taken over. I don't fully understand Discord, to be honest with you, but it's definitely nearly there. So we shall see. Gecko just keeps walking. Can you please get a snake? Snakes are cute, right? But in the shop today.
Oh, those little ones. They were so cute.
Oh, yeah. Are they tree pythons?
Tree pythons, yeah, but they get a lot bigger.
They're really cute. And they're like, when you look at their pattern and everything, it's incredible. But there was also another big snake, and it had a well, not obviously frozen, but a dead rat in there. And then our entire fridge next to it was full of frozen rats and mice and chicks. And I can't deal with that. And like, I know you can get a garter snake and stuff, but I never really want a garter snake. So I don't know. There are other reptiles that I really want over a snake.
The questions fly up so quick.
Yeah,
There was
honestly.
one that says, do you have a dog?
No, I really want a dog.
You do really want a dog.
I've literally wanted a dog since I was little, and we never was allowed a dog. When I was little, I always wanted an old English sheepdog because this man around the road had one. It was massive, and I loved it. Will you switch Ziggy back to the heat mat? Oh, see, it skips. This is annoying. The thing is, sometimes there'll be a lot of emojis, and it like skips loads of people. I
don't understand how.
Okay, I think you go up the side, but what I'll say with switching her back, I think if I continue to see like positive behavior from her and it's doing her well and she's going to the loo and eating and being active, then I don't see the point in changing back. The other thing is, the more I've read up about this, the more I think this is a better option, and potentially my other geckos will have it. But this is the thing. Once you do one, you're like, okay, now all the others need it, and that's going to cost a lot. So sometimes I'm glad I don't have tons of reptiles because I'm kind of trying to just keep improving on the animals I have, you know? Hello from California. But it's nice and sunny there. And warm.
I imagine it's sunny and warm, yeah.
So today has been kind of like wet and grey. It was a bit bright, but it's cold.
Wet, grey, windy.
Yeah.
British weather, right?
Yeah.
Then to be fair, it's not minus 50 or whatever it was.
Yeah, that is
so, I mean,
true.
we can't complain too much.
Would you get a tortoise? Tortoise and turtles are cute, but I wouldn't say I'll be like, oh my god, I really, really want one. But I think if we had one, we would adopt an older one.
Yeah, I think you're better off getting rehoming a turtle or a tortoise because they live so long. People tend not to keep them their whole lifetime.
There's like an entire rescue place for like older tortoise, and I just think like you'll still get quite like a lot of years out of them. But I was really frustrated because in a reception, I was at the doctor's, and this woman had like basically a toddler, and she said to someone who she was with that she's thinking of getting her a tortoise, and the lady was like, well, they're hard work, and she was like, no, they're not, just throw them in the garden and give them some salad now and again.
Yeah,
and you're like,
it's not the right care.
These are the people goes into a shop like you know today when we had that person go, hey, can we get a bearded dragon, and like they're like half joking, but equally you're like, these are the people who would just get it on a whim.
Yeah, like the amount of effort we put into, what you put in, and when I've ever had pets, I've put into. Yeah,
I could not just like buy it like that. Can leopard geckos eat lettuce? No, I don't think they have the. I think I looked into it that they don't have the area which ferments, like allows.
Oh, to break it down.
Yeah, so I think it could make them quite ill. So I wouldn't give them that. They're not like bearded dragons. Isn't Lyra dead? No, that's Isla. Yeah, they had very similar names, Isla and Lyra. Some people like get a bit confused, which is fair enough, but no, unfortunately.
Like,
do you know what the sad thing is? I know the exact date Isla died. It's like, such a horrible day. I'm traumatized. Oh no, don't worry about it. People get like confused. I think the worst thing I found when it came to Isla is someone sent a link to a Tumblr post that was about me, which is really weird, and they basically said I killed Isla. And when you've had an animal that isn't well, you've constantly taken it to the vets, constantly had treatment because these eggs completely messed her up, and despite all your best efforts and months of trying to help her, one day she just goes. For someone to say you killed her and make a whole post about it, it's just like, mate, you don't even know what I went through. Like, that's when it's bad. But you probably just got confused, so don't worry. How do you know when a crested gecko's fruit paste isn't good anymore? Do you mean when it's already been made up? Usually what I do is like, I put it in, they have it for like 24 hours. And usually by then it's sort of started to dry up a bit. And I'll either let it dry and let it crisp out and feed it to the cleanup crew, or tip the bowl up and give it to the cleanup crew. Most of the time, though, when you think about it, so much Pangea and stuff goes to waste.
Have you ever thought about keeping ants? Greetings from Holland.
Yeah, I have. Actually, how long have I been keeping ants for? I mean, they haven't been so successful. Years.
2 years?
No, because before then I did have other ants. They're very sensitive, you know?
Yeah.
They're quite delicate. But when you think about when you get like an ant infestation, you don't quite realize how delicate they actually are and how amazing it is they've got to that size. How do you keep cats out of your room? My cat will actually come in my room, sleep on my bed. She was a kitten when I had lizards. So we didn't really let her in my room as a kitten on her own. But I think because she's grown up with them, she literally doesn't even bother. Like, she would just walk in and lay down. I used to also have chinchillas in my room. And once again, like, you would come up to my room, all the lizards sleeping, the chinchillas sleeping, and the cat sleeping on the bed, and nobody's even acknowledged each other, you know? So she's just sort of grown up with it, so she's used to it. So, yeah, she never bothers them. Our gecko is not eating crickets, but eats worms. Why is this? If your gecko's always eating worms, like all its life, I feel like sometimes worms take less energy to go and catch in a way, and crickets might seem kind of fast and like they're thinking, why do I want to move for this? Especially if they've been fed out of a bowl. So that might be why. What you could try, there's an old video I did where, do you want to hold him for a bit?
I can try, but you know what he's like when he's in my hands, he sprints. But
basically, there's this old video where I show you how you can get a cricket, turn it on its back, and it sort of stays in the same place.
No, he wants to go for your hands.
You could try this.
He knows who's the boss.
You could try this alongside mealworms or something. Say you're feeding mealworms and you want to sneak a cricket in. They might mistake it and then get a taste for it. Maybe even, I don't know if you tried it with holding it with tweezers so it's not running away. But like, it's like locusts. Like, my geckos never like locusts. It's really odd. But there are some, if you're able to get like calci worms, I think they can have butterworms, hornworms. We can't have hornworms over here. They're illegal. But calci worms are good. So there's different things you can try. What crickets are the best, black or brown? I've always gone for brown. I've just heard that black ones tend to be more aggressive. I don't know if that's true, but I've always had silent, standard brown crickets. Where do you get your gecko's food? With the leopard geckos, I get it online. I actually find the food just all arrives alive. Sometimes when you get them in shops, half of them are dead, especially the crickets. How old does your leopard gecko have to be to tell their gender? I'd say, like, you start to notice between maybe 3 to 9 months, around that age. Like, when I picked up Diego, they said he was about 5 or 6 months. They also said he was a girl, but he had massive bulges. So if you think 5 or 6 months, they just pop through. You know, it's difficult because with a girl, you don't know. You're thinking, is this a girl or is it potentially going to be a boy again? You know. So, why are there caterpillars in my cricket box? Okay, so I see this a lot. I should just make a video on this because I see it a lot. And I was totally confused when I first got crickets and found it. They're totally fine. They actually turn into these little beetles. And I think they're basically the cleanup crew for feeder insects. I don't know their name off the top of my head, but they're harmless and they just live with your crickets. How do you help with shedding? So basically, if I see they're going to shed, I'll spray part of their tank where I know they'll go. It will help with shedding. But, you know, sometimes you can get bits left on their toes, which are the most frustrating bits. And there's a video I did, I think it's called Giving a Gecko a Bath. And basically I talk about how you can make this little bath, very shallow, lukewarm water, put them in, and like once they've been in there for a bit, you can just peel it off. It can take ages. They might not be happy with you, but it needs to come off. I need some water. My throat's really dry.
Yeah.
1 sec.
Right, I will try and keep holding him without him doing a runner like he normally does. Right, he's chilled. He's pancaked on my thumb.
Oh, you know when water just tastes amazing?
Oh, no, he's off.
Right, let me see. Do all females ovulate? I assume so. It never really affected my females so much until I got Ziggy, and she obviously became mature, and she ovulated, and suddenly it sort of triggered.
He knows exactly where he's going.
It triggered Gizmo and Minnie to sort of actually ovulate and like lay eggs. I mean, Minnie didn't, but Gizmo did when she was 6 or 7. If you have one female on her own, you probably won't even notice it. She might go off food a little bit, but she probably won't lay eggs. Would you recommend getting reptiles from online? I have only got one reptile online, but it wasn't necessarily online in a way that I was in contact with a breeder who just happened to live a bit further away from me, and then I organised a reptile courier to bring it to me. It was really good courier actually, because they'd find out what species you have, and they have its own section. They set the temperature and everything perfectly for it. That's the only time I've done it, because I like to support small breeders, but when you see like a big mass breeder that just has like tons and tons, I'm a bit like, I don't know if my answers ever make sense, but I'm a rambler. Is your breeder called SC Reptiles? No. Let's see.
How often must you do a full cage clean out?
See, I used to do it every 4 to 6 months, which sounds quite a long time. The breeder I got Gizmo Mini from would say you only have to clean the eco-earth every 6 months, obviously do spot cleaning. So I would do that, but then I have a bioactive substrate now, so it's a little bit different, but I do like to clean down the ledges and stuff like that. With the crested gecko and Chihuahua, I like to clean down the walls and disinfect them, but yeah. Do your geckos lick calcium dust off your fingers? I don't think they actively do. I think sometimes if you put some on, especially if you think they need like a boost, if you have like a gecko that say you've got from Petco and it might be like malnourished, get a bit of vitamin powder, put it on your finger, and naturally your gecko will lick where it walks. So if I do this, he'll lick. So he'd actually take it in, but they don't tend to actively lick calcium off. So how do I help a leopard gecko with constipation? Some people will say run a little bath. When I say a little bath, I mean like get a bowl, fill it up with a bit of lukewarm water, only that would cover over their feet that reach their belly, and that heat can just help warm that up and sometimes help. But if you think it's down to maybe something more serious, then obviously take them to a vet. How do you give your geckos calcium? So I leave calcium promagnesium in their thing, in the little pot in their tank. So if they do want to, they can go up and lick it. But also the vitamin powder I use does contain some calcium, so it's balanced. But I did a feeding and supplementing schedule a few years ago. It's kind of like a guide. You can use it as a guide on how to sort of separate calcium and multivitamins. It's confusing. Supplements are just confusing. But I hope that makes sense. Let's see. What should I do if you run out of crickets and the store is cancelled? Cancelled?
Closed. I think it's probably supposed to be.
Oh. I always order off like online. So if you're able to order online, then most of the time if they're shipping insects, they do like next day delivery, so that can help. But also like reptiles are very good with surviving without food. Like if you look how why is he looking like that? They're not always gonna have food on demand in the wild. So I'm not saying to starve your geckos, but they'll be okay in a way. Like if I suddenly stopped feeding my guinea pigs, they would not be okay.
And they would definitely let you know about it.
Yeah.
They have a strict schedule.
Would you get a bird? No, I feel like birds are far too intelligent for me to like properly keep them entertained. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And they
You like to see them fly about as well.
Yeah, I saved a canary, from a cat. My cat. She caught a canary. Someone's pet canary must have got loose. I heard my mum screaming at 7 a.m. It was pouring with rain. She called my dad and was like, the cat's got a canary. My dad didn't want to get up. He goes, whatever. So I heard this, ran outside, 7 a.m, pouring with rain. At the time, we had a trampoline. Underneath the trampoline, that's where the cat took the prey. And it was all muddy. There's me on my hands and knees getting this canary off my cat. Canary, totally fine. And probably because it's quite a hardy bird, because where it's from in the wild, I assume that, yeah, they would have to be hardy because the predators are a little bit more extreme than here. So I managed to save this canary. It was absolutely fine, but we only had it for like an hour and it smelled so bad. So birds, for me,
I do find that, yeah,
they do have quite a scent, but we ended up like taking it to like the local pet shop to like check it over because obviously we couldn't find the owner. So, but yeah.
Leopard Gecko Discovery says, how long have you been doing YouTube?
6 years.
Long time.
Yeah.
Long time. Would you get a frog?
I love frogs. They're adorable. Diego looks like a frog right now. Diego, look at your fabulous face. You look a little bit froggy. We're looking at dart frogs today.
We're admiring some.
I love
really
dart
nice
frog
tanks.
setups. And I do think frogs are like just so cute. But, you know. No, none of the breeders I follow on Instagram is where I got any of my geckos from. It just so happens they have like leopard geckos and I follow them, but none of them I've actually
Would
used.
you recommend bioactive tanks or fake ones?
Bioactive. Oh, well, especially more for like crested geckos and chihuahuas because you don't have to look around for their poop because it gets eaten by the cleanup crew and you get to grow plants.
It's one of the things I really like about the tanks.
I read online when geckos get an illness, it's possibly contagious. Is this true? Certain things can be. If it's got a parasite, if it's got something called cryptosporidium, that is like sicktail, that is highly contagious, but contagious to other leopard geckos. I don't think there's many illnesses that leopard geckos have that are zoonotic, so they won't get passed to us. Obviously, they have salmonella. I'm pretty sure every pet you can have has some level of salmonella, so if you handle their poop and then eat, you can become infected. So you always wash your hands, obviously. But yeah, that's why quarantining is important, because if you bring in a new gecko and say you handle the new gecko, you don't wash your hands, you go to another gecko, handle that. If that new gecko's ill, you just spread that around so quickly and it can just wipe out a whole load. So... Do you like your posh accent?
I saw that, but I didn't want to say anything.
I've never noticed my accent being particularly posh. How do you keep crickets alive? Best thing is to like make sure they have enough room. To be honest, I'd give them more room.
You have pampered crickets.
Yeah, always make sure they have food. Obviously, you can get bug gel stuff to keep them hydrated. Hydration is key because if they're not hydrated, they go down really quickly. But sometimes certain veg and fruit you can give them has some sort of hydration in there. So, yeah. Let me see.
You must need a license or a permit for an exotic pet. We don't here.
No, I don't think we do.
No,
I think
there's some stuff you do, but I mean, unless you want like a tiger or something, then.
Yeah, but who buys a tiger?
What's his face?
There's more tigers in captivity in America than there are in the wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Let's see.
Do you have any tips for me since I'm getting my first leopard gecko soon?
I get this question. That's a very formal way of you asking me. How are you gonna tell me you're getting a leopard gecko?
Yeah.
People ask me this a lot, but I don't know what they want to know in terms of tips. Like, I did a video where it's like answering common questions that first-time owners have, which I'd highly recommend watching, because there's just these questions that always come up, that things that might worry you, or you might think like, is that right? There's that video that I've done. It was done quite a few years ago, or a year or two, I'm not sure. But I definitely think that would help. Just make sure you let them settle in. They might be off their food at first because they need to settle in. That's totally fine. Just make sure the cage is set up, the heating's correct, everything's set up beforehand. Would gnats in my crested gecko's tank be harmful? How do I get rid of them? I had fungus gnats.
Not my fault.
Right, no, because I definitely feel like they came in, was it the Phottonias or something?
Yeah, something.
Every time I put them in, they've got they produce fungus gnats. It's probably somewhere in the soil. I don't know. They're a pain. I totally understand. So what I did is I got a sticky strip that you get to like kill the insects, and I hung it up in my room. And anytime, say, I'd get my crested gecko out, I'd leave her tank doors wide open so they could fly out. The sticky strips I got had some sort of scent that attracts them to it, and the only way of getting rid of them really is to kill all the adults, because they breed quickly and they produce a lot of young. So that's the only way I've managed to get rid of them. Who is your breeder? Well, this is the thing. People ask me where I get my geckos from. Minnie and Gizmo were bought 12, nearly 13 years ago, and the breeder was just local to me. She was a small-time breeder. I don't think she even breeds anymore, because a few years after I got Gizmo and Minnie, she offered me their mum, who's also called Minnie, because she had some health problems. So there's no point in recommending her. She probably doesn't breed them. Ziggy, once again, I got from a small local breeder. And Diego got from Pets at Home. Lyra, I actually took in because someone was going to university and they no longer could care for her, so I had her. And then Drogo I got from a breeder who I don't like to put out his name and his email, because I don't know if he's okay with that being out there. It's not like he has a website or anything, but yeah. Sorry. I just get asked it a lot.
Rampage.
I just get asked it a lot. I think it's because in America, a lot of people might buy from well-known bigger breeders, maybe, whereas in England it's a little bit different.
Smaller.
Let's see. My leopard gecko doesn't like the vitamin powder. Is it a problem? Yeah, they do need the vitamins. I have found in the past some vitamins, they have a strong smell, and you'll see your gecko literally turn their nose up. I used Nutribol before, like I had the Arcadia stuff, and it does have a strong smell, and sometimes my geckos would turn their nose up, but they would also eat. It's better if they're really not eating it, then try a different brand, because they do need it. Let's see. Please help me. I rescued 2 geckos from my neighbors and they have MBD. Take them to a reptile vet, only just because they'll be able to do some things that will help them stabilize. But if you can get a UV system going, that would be the ideal situation, because then you're not guessing how much they need. He actually got stuck on my hand. You know when you like sit down on a sofa? That's what it was like on a leather sofa or something, and you get stuck. Do you like snakes? I actually did a video recently about bearded dragons and snakes and whether I'd get one, so I'd highly recommend checking that out. Is someone else called Leopard Gecko Talk on here? Let me see. Roaches are illegal where I live. Can I give them canned roaches? I don't really like already dead food, because it's not... I can see my pajama bottoms. It's not as nutritious as live, but there are other insects you can try if you can't get roaches.
It's like proper posing, isn't he? Yeah. He's been taking lessons off.
Well, you know, it's coming up to spring and he wants to impress all these lady geckos. It's been like what is it? Nearly 8 years? What? He'll be 8 in April, won't he?
Yeah.
He hasn't got anything.
Oh, it's true.
All these years, he's like, where are the ladies at? How can I pick up my gecko easy? Scoop. The scoop technique. You just go like this. Plonk. But yeah, like it's really hard when you've owned leopard geckos for so long and
because I'm still learning, because I've not been around them very long.
It's interesting because I've watched you and my friend like go to pick up, say, Drogo, and I can notice all the little wrong things they'd be doing that would make, not necessarily you, but like,
I just sort of offer up my hand, and if they want to come out, they can come out.
So my friend was round and he was trying to pick up Drogo, and I could tell these really subtle changes like that. he would do like that I wouldn't normally do, that would put the gecko on edge a little bit. So it's interesting when you can sort of see that, but generally, because I hold them so much and I've held them for years and years and years, it's hard to explain. Do you have a video about UV? Yeah, I have one called UVB and UVA, where I just talk about both of them. There's also one that is, do leopard geckos really need UVB? And also albinos and UVB, because some people think that you definitely can't use it with albinos, whereas this guy will literally just like sit there with it on him, so he really doesn't mind. Whereas like Gizmo's like wild type, and she actually has been like less exposed to UV in comparison to Diego, and it's totally up to them to self-regulate. If they don't want to be in it, they can move away from it. How is Ziggy doing the deep heat projector? She is actually doing well, although that time lapse is still going.
Okay, shall I go turn it off?
Yeah, I feel like I did a time lapse because I wanted to get some footage for the video, the follow-up video.
She's in it.
Is she in her cave?
No, she's sat in the bottom corner.
On the floor. I might also do like a thermal map of like how the deep heat projectors heated the tank in the cooler areas and the gradient. So yeah. What? Are you watching time? Did she just walk off?
No, she just sits there for a bit.
Leopard geckos don't need baths. No, like there are some animals that people will constantly give baths to, and the only time I say give them a bath is not even a bath. It's like you get like a dish with water that just covers their feet, say if they got stuck shed, and that can help peel it off, but it's nothing like, you know, when you see people like, oh, give my pets a bath. It's not like they need anything like that. For example, you can do the same sort of fit. Can you stop giggling?
Sorry, I was just giggling at the fact you have 55,000 unread emails.
Oh yeah, that's me. That sounds like me. What was I saying? Yeah, so like a crested gecko, if they're not their feet aren't sticking very well, you can put them in a little bit of water, a shallow bit of water, clear their feet, and they can get sticky feet again. So yeah, they don't need baths. Like some snakes will actively go in their water dish and bath. It's not like that. You don't even need to wash them with soap or anything weird like that, just to clear that up. I need to drink, my throat is so dry. And you don't have an elevated food dish for your crested gecko, is that okay? It's not ideal because they eat higher up. They prefer to be higher up. So if you can, just like, you can even get little cheap ones with suction pads on, slot a dish in. They're not too expensive. You can get magnetic ones that are probably even better. So I would highly recommend getting something like that. Oh my goodness. My throat. Oh, thank you, Lanessa. I've never had that name before. Lanessa, hopefully I said it right. Thank you for that. Nice. It's a shame that like there's some Petcos that have improved, but sadly there's still quite a few that haven't. But then I see that with some reptile shops near me. Like it's really sad when some of the tanks will be amazing for some of the other lizards, and something as simple as a leopard gecko they get wrong, and it's just like, really?
Oh, look at his face. Just call him Simple.
Wow.
He's not happy. It's a fancy lizard.
My leopard gecko only eats waxworms and won't eat crickets. What should I do? Stop with the waxworms. What I would do is like try to move them on from like waxworms to maybe mealworms, hornworms, calci worms, as they obviously favor the worm look, and then try crickets. But if you keep feeding waxworms, it's like sweets. They're just going to keep wanting waxworms.
Oh, you did get it right.
What?
Lanessa.
A bit of a stroke on the chin.
Oh.
Why is that not?
I don't think it's gonna let you.
I don't understand. Why do they have those 3 dots there?
I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
What kind of morph is best?
There's
Because I know.
there's no
best morph, is there?
I didn't really care about morph too much because, like, if you want something that is literally built the way a leopard gecko is meant to be built, then have wild type, because you won't have to worry too much about UV or like things like Enigma syndrome and stuff. Some of the fancier morphs have more issues and are yet more expensive. I spoke about this on my live stream when I was on You Now, but the Lemon Frost, for example, the first 2 that hatched out were sold 10 grand each, and yet they, like, most of the offspring they've produced get tumors, like, not only on their skin but all around their organs, and it's all just down to the coloration in their skin. And people will pay thousands, but a lot of them don't even last over a year. So, like, Gizmo was £25. She was a cheap leopard gecko, wild type, and wild type's probably the healthiest in terms of it is what it's meant to be in the wild, if that makes sense. Diego is reading your comments.
I love his little I'm reading your comments face.
I'm a sweet cinnamon roll. Maybe that's aimed at Diego. Diego, you're a cinnamon roll.
What if I got a super snow?
Super snow, that's fine. I mean, super snow are fairly common in terms of, like, I don't think, I could be wrong, but I don't think they have issues. But, like, say you have something that might have Enigma in it, there's a chance it could have Enigma syndrome, which they can live with. It's just, it's a little brain issue with, but my gecko has old skin hanging off its parts, and it looks quite deep. It's not red or anything, and it doesn't come off when he sheds. I'm not quite sure which, like, if there's old skin there, then you should help peel it off after a shed if it is still led there. Just obviously don't pull on anything that looks kind of like not skin and could be something else. Hopefully it's not like prolapsed.
I'm just looking at all the. It seems to have slowed down a little bit, which is
good.
You can read them now.
Diego's well, yeah, he's been working out. He's trying to impress the ladies.
He's a buffalo gecko.
His little back legs are so strong as well. I don't know if anyone else who has a male leopard gecko notices this, but now and again they'll squeeze their back legs, and I imagine that's because when they're breeding, they obviously have to hold on with those back legs, so it's important they're strong. But yeah, he's got little muscly legs. So, what do you do if your Leo isn't eating? What should I do if my gecko isn't eating? I mean, what I usually say is check that the temperatures are right, that you're offering a variety of food, because it might not want crickets, it might want something else. Make sure the food is gut loaded, make sure it's dusted in the correct supplements. It's just a good thing to check that everything's okay, because they can be like the common reasons why they're not eating. If it's been particularly cold, it could be down to partial brumation. But if you're really concerned, take them to a vet. Anyway,
You've been watching since 2013. We've only been on for 50 minutes.
No, I think they meant the channel.
Oh.
Oh dear. Anyway, I think we're gonna have to wrap up soon because it's nearly been an hour, and my throat is so dry. I think it's quite warm in here.
It is quite warm.
What about a black pearl? I've seen them. I don't know.
What do they look like?
Or black.
What? A leopard gecko?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Obviously, leopard geckos in the wild have patches of black for a reason, and it's kind of like when you have one that's completely white or completely black, you do wonder how's that going to affect in terms of like if it's exposed to UV and everything. I don't know too much about the morph, if it's got anything bad particularly with it. I think they're quite expensive, but yeah, like to me, a fancy morph, an animal's an animal regardless of what its colors are. Like if you're doing a breeding project where a particular morph comes up and you think, oh, this would be good to have, then fair enough. But to me, it doesn't really matter what they look like. Do they ever bite? No, like, I think the only time I've been bitten is either if there was one time Gizmo was shedding and I was trying to get it off her and she turned around to just bite the skin like she would if she was like, she'd stopped shedding at this point. I was trying to help her out and she caught my finger.
I
and
always
she did
remember
like
that video because it's got a really amusing thumbnail.
Oh, that was the time I just like let her bite me to just show people it doesn't hurt. But like if you just go like that, they just lick. So they're not like aggressive. Do leopard geckos have teeth? Yeah, they have really little teeth. The way I would describe it if you get bitten by them is it kind of feels like if you just grazed your finger on like a bit of rough brick. Which sounds odd, but it's not painful.
It's a very odd thing.
Yeah. But the thing is, if they pinch your skin, I guess that would hurt more. But basically, when Gizmo got my finger, she pinched a bit of skin. But then she did like a death roll, like a crocodile, because she was trying to tear it as if it was her skin. And that did draw blood. But now I have gecko powers. That's when I decided to start my channel.
Have you ever thought of getting a tarantula?
There's a little boop for Diego. Oh. Diego just enjoys it. A tarantula, not really. We saw a tarantula's exoskeleton today, which I just...
Yeah, just that out on the side, just there to scare customers, you know.
But I don't know. They've never really... The thing is, I'll watch random videos about them, but it's like terrifying. What was I watching? Oh, I think it was Exotic Glaire's video. He put a video up of like a male approaching a female. And she just grabbed this male, and luckily the male got away. Like, obviously, if they were breeding, he'd probably die. But it was terrifying how quickly they react. So
I quite like the trapdoor spiders.
Why? They literally stay their whole lives, like waiting for food to come along.
Amusing that they just sit there, just wait for somebody to come along, and just open the little door and nab it, and then they can go back to the house. A little burrow.
No, like I also go down the rabbit hole of watching people take out like the tarantula egg sacs, and then like I'm like,
I
no.
saw one of those the other day.
Yeah, I'm like, no. Let's see. Do you like pets at home? Yeah, my local pets at home is actually fairly decent. The people seem quite well informed. When they had reptiles there, their reptile specialist wasn't that great, but they don't sell them anymore. But they always seem fairly fine in there.
Yeah.
I know, like I've seen pet shops that are bad, and my local pets at home isn't. Although they did reject me once, which will be an upcoming video if you want that. So make sure you look out for my next video. The pets also tend to have vets in them as well, which is always handy. So you know the animals have definitely gone through the vets before they go on sale. So yeah. I have a leopard gecko in calci sand. She stopped eating. Any idea why? Yes, it's probably impacted. I don't know if that was a troll comment, but if you've watched my channel for any sort of time, you'll know calci sand is really, really bad and causes impaction. Your gecko will stop eating because its whole digestive tract gets completely blocked. So I would tell you to take it off the sand straight away. Maybe take it to a vet, get an x-ray, see what's going on down there, because it may need some laxatives to help pass all of that before it dies. That sounded extreme, but I don't understand why people are still using calcium sand. So sorry. Anyway,
hello from the other side of the world. Hello. Does he need dusted food? Yes.
Can you give leopard geckos calci sand as calcium powder? No. I don't know what they do, because it's not like pure calcium. Well, maybe it is, but I wouldn't use it. Let's just say, just stay away from calci sand as much as you can. That stuff is bad. I also don't know how effective it would be. No, just don't use it. Don't use it. Do you have an opinion or heard of a Eurymastix. We saw 2 today.
Are they the ones with the little spiny tails?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really have an opinion on them. I know of them. I don't think I'd have one. I think they need really hot temperatures. Can't say I've like really, really wanted one or anything, but I know there's like there's one that maybe a lot of them do it, but basically I remember watching an animal program where one was heating up, and I believe it was all black, and once it got enough heat and UV as everything it needed, this is in the wild, it turned like yellow and ran off. And in the documentary they referred to it as a dub, DHUB I think, but it is a Eurymastix. Maybe someone will know exactly what I'm on about, but yeah, I'm worried he's going to go to the loo on me.
He has been out for a while and he's very warm.
Yeah, it's like he's been out for an hour now, so I should probably like pop him back. But thank you for joining us today. If you haven't yet, go and check out the video I did about the deep heat projector, the new thing I've done to replace a heat mat. And there will be a new video up on the 12th, which you will learn about some rejection I felt from pets at home.
Still bitter about it.
Yes. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us today. This is weird because the camera's here. But yes, we shall go now. I don't know how to end this. Where do we end this? Oh, here. Okay. So thank you for joining us, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.